everyone, I'm Kathy, and our topic for today is immune system. For the learning outcome, at the end of our session, you should be able to describe the components and functions of the lymphatic system, describe the non-specific and specific immune responses, describe allergic reactions, outline immunodeficiency and autoimmune reactions. This slide contains the following: components and functions of lymphatic system, immune system, allergic reactions, immunodeficiency, and autoimmune reactions. Here is the lymphatic system, and we'll deep dive and discuss the functions and parts of the lymphatic system. Components of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic arteries. It is a tiny closed-ended vessels consisting of simple squamous epithelium present in most tissues of the body. We also have the lymphatic vessels. Lymphatic capillaries join to form lymphatic vessels, have valves to ensure the one-way flow of lymphs. Then we also have the lymphatic organs. You have your tonsils, form a protective ring of lymphatic tissue around the openings between the nasal and oral cavities and pharynx. Lymph nodes distributed along the lymphatic vessels. Then you have the spleen located in the left superior corner of the abdominal cavity. It filters the blood. Thymus located in the superior mediastinum, location of the T lymphocytes maturation. Functions of the lymphatic system is for fluid balance. Remember, the interstitial fluid in the interstitial spaces enters the lymphatic capillaries. We've discussed this before. Then we also have lipid absorption. Lymphatic system absorbs lipids from the digestive tract through the lymphatic vessels. And for defense, pathogens are filtered from lymph by lymph nodes and from the blood by spleen. Primary lymphoid organs are where lymphocytes are formed and mature. Bone marrow and thymus. B lymphocytes are produced and mature in the bone marrow. T lymphocytes are produced in the bone marrow but mature in the thymus. Secondary lymphoid organs are where lymphocytes are activated. Lymph nodes, spleen, tonsils, etc. Secondary lymphoid organs are sites where pathogens are captured and presented by antigen-presenting cells to B and T lymphocytes, which will then be activated. White blood cells. White blood cells are leukocytes. Granulocytes. We have the neutrophil, basophil, eosinophil. Agranulocytes. Lymphocyte, B for bone marrow and T for thymus, lymphocytes, and natural killer cells. Also have the monocytes. So, white blood cells, the function protects our body against pathogen and removes dead cells and debris. So, we have here the lymphocyte, monocyte, and we also have the eosinophil, basophil, and neutrophil. Immune system. Defense system that protects us from infection, foreign elements, non-specific defenses, innate or natural immunity. It's our first line of defense and provide the general response to destroy foreign particles. Specific defenses, adaptive acquired immunity, protection via vaccination, evokes immune responses which generate memory to protection for a very long period of time. Defense that involves specific recognition to a specific antigen. It is acquired after birth. Reacts when innate defenses don't work. Slower than innate immunity. Has memory. Remember, just now we said memory to protection for a very long period of time. It uses lymphocytes, either B and T cells. And then you have the two types of the antibody. We have the mediated and cell-mediated. For the non-specific defenses, we have the neutrophils, first to respond to infection but die quickly. And we also have the macrophage or macrophages. Monocytes leave blood and enter tissues, can ingest more than neutrophils. protect lymph in lymph nodes and blood in spleen and liver. Then we have the basophils made in red bone marrow, leave blood and enter infected tissues, can release histamine. Non-specific defenses, eosinophil produced in red bone marrow, release chemicals to produce inflammation, natural killer cells, type of lymphocyte produced in red bone marrow, recognized classes of cells such as tumor cells or virus-infected cells, release chemicals to lysis cells. Specific defenses, antibody-mediated humoral response, mediated by B lymphocyte, which produce antibodies, effective against bacteria, viruses, toxins in body fluids. Cell-mediated response, mediated by T lymphocytes, effective against bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa in cells and tissues. Specific defenses, antibodies attach or bind to foreign substances. We have the antigen, a substance that stimulates immune response. Example will be your bacteria, virus, pollen, food, drug, etc. Antibody, proteins that our body produces in response to antigen. Each B cell produces a specific antibody that binds to only one antigen. Once established against a specific antigen, it will be able to respond specifically to future exposure at a faster rate. 5 classes of antibodies, which has different biological roles and location. We have the IgG or immunoglobulin G, IgM, IgA, IgE, and IgD. Types of antibody, we have IgA is for secretory. Is found in saliva, in our tears, respiratory and intestinal secretions. Prevent attachment of microorganisms to mucous membrane. Then for the immunoglobulin G, it's the most abundant major antibody in secondary response, important defense against microorganisms, enhance bacterial killing, neutralize toxins and viruses, and provide protection to newborn, which is transplacental. Then IgM, provide immunological defense at infection site, primary response, protect against bacteria and viruses. IgE, involved in allergic hypersensitivity reactions, example will be asthma, and protect against parasite, example will be worm infections. And then your IgD, we don't know what is the function. For B cells, it's for the primary response, first exposure of B cell to antigen. B cell undergoes division and forms plasma. We have the cell and memory cells. For the plasma cells, it produces antibodies 3 to 14 days to be effective against antigen. There's a typo there. And then you have a person develop disease symptoms. Then you also have the secondary response and your memory cell. It occurs when our immune system is exposed to antigen that has been seen before. So the B memory cell quickly divide to form plasma cells which produce antibodies and produces new memory cell. T cells. Type of T cells. We have the helper T cells, activate macrophage, help form B cells, promote production of T cells. Then we also have the cytotoxic T cells. It destroys antigen on contact. And we have the regulatory T cells, turn off immune system response when antigen is gone. This is the summary of adaptive immunity. We have the humoral antibody-mediated adaptive immune response, and we also have the cellular or cell-mediated adaptive immune response. Then for the allergic reaction, it occurs when immune system overreacts to a harmless substance known as allergen. Immune system protects the body from infections, viruses, and disease. The first time a person with an allergy is exposed to the allergen, it may not cause a reaction. However, the person is then sensitized to the allergen, and even minor future exposures to this allergen produce an allergic reaction. Immunodeficiency and autoimmune reactions. Immunodeficiency, for the production or function of immune cells, is abnormal, may be congenital or acquired. Example, acquired includes AIDS. Then we have the autoimmune reactions, abnormal vigorous immune response. Reactions, for the type of allergies, it can be immediate hypersensitivity or delayed hypersensitivity. The first one is triggered by a release of histamine from IgE binding to mast cells. Reaction begins within seconds of contact with allergen, like shock, dangerous, and systemic response. Then for the delayed hypersensitivity, it is triggered by the release of lymphokines from activated helper T cells. Symptoms usually appear 1 to 3 days after contact with antigen. Question: one function of the T cell is to transport blank to the B cells. And number 2, leukocytes are typically attracted to pathogens due to the development of the blank complex. So that one function of the T cell is to transport antigens to the B cells, and leukocytes are typically attracted to pathogens due to the development of the antigen or antibody complex.